Hi everybody, Chris Titley here and welcome to Scoreboard.
This episode is powered by SwiftX, Australia's top-rated crypto exchange and proudly homegrown, just like many of the athletes and business leaders we feature on Scoreboard.
Hi, it's Chris Titley here on today's episode of Scoreboard, the podcast. I'm joined by Lachie Hearne in person here in Brisbane. It was absolutely bucketing down yesterday and training's been cancelled, but now it's 32 degrees outside, so I'm grateful that training did get binned and you're in here having a chat. Lachie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward.
Mate, first ever in-person podcast. You feeling nervous?
A little bit. I do get a little nervous doing these things, but nah, it's good. Love talking about cricket. So.
Mate, as nervous as going out to bat?
I think I've gotten a bit better with age. I used to get real nervous and now it's kind of just a game of cricket to me. Obviously want to go really well, so I get those butterflies, but yeah, I've dealt with that, as I've gotten older, which is good.
Mate, you've come back from a pretty traumatic and also exciting game of cricket in the West, a big week last week going over to Western Australia and losing by a wicket. But you hit some form yourself as well, again, continuing that form. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it was disappointing not to get the win. We worked so hard for the 4 days. Coming down to the last 20 minutes, 1 wicket. That's the closest Shield game I've been a part of, and yeah, a few of the boys were saying it's the closest game they've been a part of as well. But yeah, to score 87, it's good. I'm pretty happy where my game's at. So yeah, hopefully just continue.
Isn't it good that 4-day cricket, 5-day cricket's still alive down to the last 20 minutes? There's three events happening in the last 20 minutes: a draw, a win, a loss. Comes down to a ball, comes down to a moment. What were you feeling in that last half an hour, and how do you feel in those moments?
I think I just wanted to win so bad. I was actually off. I hurt my finger. Got hit in the finger, and me and Renshaw, he had a sore knee, so we were kind of watching from the dugout, biting my fingernails, but
with a bung finger with no nails left on it.
Yeah. So it was an interesting one because I wanted to be out there to make an impact, same as Renners, but the WA boys. Credit to him. Rockcholi had such a good game. Whiteman, I think it was his 100th WA game, so it was a pretty special win from those boys.
Mate, second year in Queensland. How are you enjoying sunny Brisbane? And also, a big year for you with some milestones.
Yeah, love Queensland. Love playing for Queensland. Moving up here, 3 years ago now. Just moved up here to give it a crack at grade level. Backed myself, had a good year, and then obviously earned my contract, and then kind of just worked really hard, and I feel like for me the culture is really, really good, and it suits me. Makes me go out there, feeling relaxed. That's one thing I've noticed in Brisbane. So relaxed compared to Sydney, and I think that really helps my cricket as well.
Are you a relaxed cricketer?
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
You got a nickname, Chills. Someone calls you Chills, is that right?
Maybe. I don't know. Everyone's kind of always told me that, sometimes I don't look like I'm trying, which isn't the case. But actually coaches in the past have, kind of labelled me as lazy just because of my demeanour. But that's just who I am. That's just how I act, and I'm not going to change who I am, obviously.
No, I mean, when you scroll on an iPhone and it's so simple, and you're going, oh, this is pretty easy to use, right? But behind the scenes, there's a lot of
that's it.
prowess. We'll start calling you Apple, right? Hey? It makes it look glorious and casual and lazy. But a big year this year as well with your debut 100. You want to talk through a little bit about that and what that meant to you?
Yeah, that meant a lot. Obviously, it's been a pretty, a good journey. I've learned a lot. I've, developed as a person and as a cricketer as well. Obviously started my career in New South Wales, which was, awesome. Getting a contract at 18, tasting, professional cricket. Played, 4 or 5 games for them. Bit of success, bit of failure. And then, that's just the cutthroat nature of New South Wales. Got left out. And then, Peter Forrest, actually, he was my grade coach over there, a mentor as well. He actually told me to ride my bike to Queensland and give it a crack. Like, you'd be stupid not to give it a crack.
It does sound like a bit Peter Foresty.
Yeah. So
who also played many games for Queensland as well as New South Wales.
Yeah. So gave it a crack. Moved up here, played for Toombul, and ever since then, I've loved it so much, and my cricket's going in a good direction, I feel. So
why do you think that is now? And you've had a few seasons, had a bit of orientation. You played first grade for nearly 10 years now, and you're still very young. Like, is there something that's different this year for you?
I feel like in the past, I haven't really, I've played the grade cricket, scored lots of runs there, and then, the next step is such a big step. I feel like from first grade to Shield cricket, or even second 11 to Shield cricket, it's so different. And in the past, I kind of, walked out to bat in a Shield game, like quite nervous and, really wanting to succeed. Whereas I feel like this year, I'm much more comfortable at the level, and I walk out there, knowing that I'm good enough to compete and score runs. So I feel like that's the biggest thing for me, is just being comfortable at the level I'm at. And I feel like that comes with age, maturity and experience. And also the opportunity Queensland's given me. I've played multiple games in a row, which, obviously, gives you that confidence. I'd probably put it down to that, I reckon.
When it comes to good Shield players that go to the next level, the question is, are they good enough to go to the next level? Do they feel comfortable at the Test arena? Knowing that you're feeling comfortable now at the Shield level, there's obviously an element to go, well, if you do get selected, you need to, someone like Marnus has felt comfortable in that arena. Do you think there's that next level above, and how are you feeling about that in your brain?
Yeah, I definitely reckon, Shield cricket to Test cricket would be a massive jump as well. For me, I just want to continue to score runs for Queensland and really churn the runs. I always got told, my dad used to tell me, like, don't worry about anything else, just try and score runs. And that's my currency, I guess. So, that's something I've also, gotten better at. Just, the only thing I can really do is score runs, take catches.
When you get to a point when you're feeling comfortable in an innings, maybe you're on 40, maybe you're on 80, maybe you're on 100, to know that you want to continue to bat time and get that big 100 or get that big score, what's going through your brain? You're probably knackered, you're physically tired, it's just one ball, right? And you're gone, right? How do you think about that when you're scoring big runs?
Yeah, I definitely feel like in the Shield cricket environment, the first 30 balls is obviously your most vulnerable in any cricket as well, actually. But one thing that the boys say is, once you're in Shield cricket, the wickets are actually quite nice to bat on once you're in. So, like, be the man to really, get that 100 or, get that big score. So that's kind of been in my mind, this year especially. I'm 24 now, so, I guess I'm not really in that youngster category anymore where, you play off, talent and stuff like that. Like, I want to, score runs because that's my job.
Yeah, but look at the Australian Test team and their ages and their selections, etc. There's a long way to go for you. And speaking of being 24, you got named in a little list recently, which went a little bit viral in terms of the top 25 players under 25. The recognition that you get and the media and the press, particularly with the Ashes series, how do you go with that?
That's pretty cool. Like, I actually find it funny, like, when someone asks me, like, saying like that, 2 years ago, I was not even on a list, you know. So, if I'm not going good or I don't get the score I want, something that, I don't know if it's the right thing to think about, but something for me is like, think about 2 years ago. Like, if you could imagine you're in the spot I am now 2 years ago, then I'd be pretty happy. So sometimes I think about that when, I think I'm, not doing well, but I had a few of my mates from school and back in Sydney send that to me, and it's pretty cool to be on someone's radar, I guess, but that kind of means nothing if you're not scoring any runs.
Yeah, true. And do you also go back to sometimes the connection to club cricket at a junior level when you're playing, having fun with your mates and the reason why you play the game, and does that come into your thinking sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. For example, like Toombul got to playing that year of grade cricket, allowed me to, get contracted and play for Queensland. So, club cricket is, a major part of, my career. And even in Sydney, I had such a good relationship with Mossman Cricket Club. I lived at the GM's house. We won a comp there first. I think it was the first comp in 85 years or something, which is ridiculous. And it meant so much for so many people. So yeah, I love grade cricket. Some of my best mates are from both teams. And yeah, every time I go back there, I always have so much fun.
Mate, and Toombul this year, they had their little competition as well that got a bit of airtime, and you and Renners on a Friday night. Looked like a packed bar and a little bit of a carnival atmosphere. That's a little bit unique for club cricket.
Yeah, the boys love it over there. The culture's, top tier. Even the layout, like the roof at the yard.
Yeah, that's where it was all jam-packed. It was the roof, and the balls was fanging over into the train track.
Yeah, they got some tap beers there now, so... the boys love watching T20 Max. It's such a good competition, and I'm looking forward to that next year as well.
Just on that, in terms of the different formats, how do you cope in terms of the changing games, changing training sessions, etc.? And maybe you're down at the club session at Toombul and there's a couple of people trying their reverse ramps, and you're like, hold on a second, I just want to bat, the way I want to bat.
Yeah, for me, I don't change my technique in any, all three formats. It's the same technique. I just probably go through the gears a little bit differently. I'm quite an aggressive batsman. But yeah, I pretty much train similar in all three formats. And I think that helps me quite a lot.
If you had to list a few things about the key to becoming a successful batter, right? What's in your brain? What are you thinking in terms of being the best version of yourself to get the most runs possible?
For me, it's just doing what feels comfortable. So at the moment, I've got I got a late bat tap for me, which really has been working. And I just feel like when you're in form, don't change anything. So for me, right now I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to go about it the exact same way I've been going about it.
Are you superstitious?
Not really. I've recently started growing this mow.
Well, it is November.
Yeah, it's doing a bit of Movember. Scored some runs with it last week, so I'll probably...
Have people been able to donate to your Movember cause? Is there a website or something?
No, I haven't.
I was going to say, because if you keep getting runs for Queensland, I'll keep donating, right?
Yeah. I'll have to look into that, actually.
maybe a buck a run, or times 10 players or whatever. You'll get up there. If there's a little bit of a... Show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome, yeah?
I kind of, he keeps on saying, Renner's, he's doing the same thing, so he reckons I'm copying him, so...
Well, he's in the runs too, right? Yeah. Mate, And so coming to Queensland, a big move for you, trying to make it as a professional cricketer, obviously with the glimpse of being a professional cricketer previously in New South Wales, but now settling in. What was going through your head there in regards to having that bit of a gamble, bit of self-belief too?
It's funny, like that year I came to play club cricket was the funnest year I had. Looking back, it was in hindsight, it was actually a massive year for me. Like if I didn't go well that year, it mightn't have worked out, especially with the age I was. But I remember lived with a few mates from school, and they were in the army, and had so much fun. Just training. I was actually lucky enough to train with Queensland. They let me come to training, and it's better training at the Gabba than at Toombul on those dodgy nets under lights. So I was very thankful for that, and I'm just glad I scored runs that year.
Why do you reckon? I mean, maybe the runs, yes, but then why do you reckon it was such a fun environment? And also, I suppose that environment of you're putting pressure on yourself, but that release of like you're playing with your mates to then kind of go, okay, we're on fire here. Let's keep going. What was the environment like?
Yeah, I think it was just looking back now, it probably was the year where I should have put the most pressure on myself, but I actually didn't. I felt no pressure at all. So, I was just rocking up on Saturday, loving playing cricket with my mates. My dad always told me, Lachie, like, when you're having fun, you play your best cricket, and you could always tell when I was having fun compared to when I wasn't having fun. I still think about that today, making sure I go on the park and have fun.
And then you're feeling good and you're prepared and you've had a good week, and you go out there and you get an absolute rip snorter of a ball and it cleans you up, or you get a nick or something. What goes through your brain? And this is something I want to sort of hone in on a little bit because of the junior cricketers that I know and my family, etc., as a batter. And you obviously beat yourself up a little bit that you got a golden duck, etc., or you failed in your mind. What's some advice as a professional cricketer? Because it does happen.
Yeah, that's cricket. Like, I reckon in cricket you fail more than you succeed. So, it's just about realizing that. For me, if I fail, it's still okay to be down, and because you want to go well for the team, but it's just that's just going to happen. So that's what I think. Low scores are going to happen, and there's nothing you can really do about it, especially if you get a good ball. The bowler's allowed to get you out, if you back yourself, runs are around the corner.
How do you go with the relationship with the bowlers, mate? Is there something a little bit different with the batters versus the bowlers in the team?
Nah, all the boys at Queensland are elite. We got a good culture. Everyone's so relaxed. Coaches are relaxed. We're in a really good spot at the moment, I reckon. And I think we can do something pretty special this year.
Who do you like facing in the nets, and who do you not like facing in the nets in the squad? Under lights, maybe even.
I like facing the spinners. The quicks, not too much. But all the quicks are class, and as much as I hate it, going in there and facing them improves me as a cricketer. So facing someone like Ness, he's a wizard. But at the end of the day, you get better facing him. So.
And mate, cricket's been through your blood since you were a junior. What was it about I mean, you got elevated into first grade pretty quickly, which would have been a pretty daunting experience for a 16-year-old in Sydney first grade. What was it about cricket that attracted you? What was it about batting that attracted you? And how good is it and how fun is it as a batter?
Yeah, I think, Dad was a massive cricket fan, and, he always used to take me to the nets every arvo. Play, classic catches at home. Was
it the Schweppes classic catches back then, or am I showing my age?
Yeah.
No, it was Foster's light ice for a bit, I remember.
Yeah. I remember we had this room at our house with nothing in it. It was like a sunroom or something, and we put a mattress in there, and he'd just, when he got home from work, he'd throw me tennis balls as a real youngster. I reckon I was, 4 or 5. And then, so that was my earliest memories of, cricket in a sense. I reckon we did that before I even went to the nets, and he reckons that really helped with my hand-eye coordination. So, maybe when I have kids one day, that's that's what I'll be
Mate,
doing.
does every now and then you're in the shower or something and you accidentally elbow the shampoo and it falls and you grab it with your right hand or left hand and you're like, I still got it. Hey?
Yeah.
The reflexes are
not,
there.
not too much, but
I'd
probably drop it, to be honest.
or the coffee bench or something that someone. Oh, yep, there we go.
Actually, my partner actually does that more than me, and she's actually got it. So,
How is you feeling?
yeah, I've worked really hard on it. The last 12 months with our fielding coach. As just a batsman, not really bowling too much. That's something I'll continue to work on. Hopefully getting the slips soon, but it's something I'll continue to work on and get better, day by day.
Speaking of day by day, as a athlete, you're in a high performance environment. Some tips that you can share that have helped you a little bit. Maybe it's daily, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly, in terms of being the best version of yourself and playing, and some high performance tips potentially that others can sort of grab a little bit of nuggets of gold from Lachie Hearne.
I feel like this year I've really loved to train. In the past, I'd probably prefer, games as probably everyone. But this year I've really enjoyed rocking up to training and working on, a few things. Like the other day, I got out pulling. So, I'm super keen to get to training and, work on that. So I can be better and hopefully, not get out like that again. And I feel like that just makes you better as a cricketer when you go to training and you're super keen, you love it, rather than going to training and being like, oh, I don't really want to, be here today. Which, when I was young, I sometimes had that mindset.
And the training now as a professional is a lot different, I'd imagine, as a first grader. And there's weights and there's diet and there's sleep and those things. So how do you go? Do you enjoy it all?
Yeah, I love it. This is probably my 5th, 6th year as a professional cricketer. I've probably gotten older now and smarter in that term, in that, scheme of things. I'm a professional athlete, so you have to be professional.
Yeah. What about patience? You working on patience?
That's probably something I need to improve on in terms of with my batting. I'm quite aggressive batsman, so maybe give myself, that 10, 15 extra balls at the start of my innings, and then, for me, I feel like once I'm in, I feel pretty comfortable with the crease.
And when you've gone through a rough trot, what's been something which has helped you, I suppose, get back into getting a few runs and getting that confidence or whatever it is back again to kind of feel like you're trusting your process and your process is now working?
I feel like, again, that comes with age. Like, I feel like when I was young, going through a rough patch, I got real down in the dumps. But at the end of the day, now I realise that that's going to happen. That's just cricket. Everyone, like Marnus, for example, went through that, that rough patch. And he still averages 46 in Test cricket. And I've actually learned a lot from players like him and Uzi, who get so criticised by the media, but they're so good. And I feel like people don't realise how good they are until they start scoring runs again. But, they just know that will happen. They just know that, a couple low scores, it doesn't really matter because there's runs around the corner. So, I kind of think like that, I've got here because I've scored runs. So I guess they're just always around the corner. You just got to keep training hard, keep backing yourself.
Do you enjoy batting with Marnus?
Yeah, I do. He's quite high energy. He's definitely a lot more high energy than myself. But, he's got really good plans out in the middle, and he, helps me, gives me advice on what I should do to different bowlers, and that really helps. Same as Uzi, they're just so good to play with. The amount of experience they have, really rubs off on the younger fellas in the team.
When you're batting with Usman or Marnus and there is a bowler that's doing a few things and you're like, oh, I think I'll play it this way. And they say, I think you should play it that way, or it's doing this or doing that. How much of it is like, I'll back myself here versus actually there's a person that scored multiple hundreds in Test cricket. I better listen to them.
Yeah, well, I guess everyone's different in the way they go about things. And, for example, I feel comfortable pulling the ball at the moment. I feel like it's gotten me a lot of runs this year, but it's also got me out a few times. But I feel like that's a strength of mine, and, you're going to get out pulling, even if it's a strength. But, I'm scoring so many runs with that shot at the moment. So, I'm going to keep on backing myself with it. It's probably just a tactical thing. I'm working hard with the batting coach at the moment with tactical awareness. So yeah, it's probably just, like for example, if there's 3 out in the boundary, maybe put it away. I didn't do that during the week, but that's it's a game of learning. So I'll keep on learning.
When you're learning in the game, which is obviously incredibly valuable, but you're also learning at training sessions. But then how much learning do you do outside, or is it difficult to do outside of actually being training and playing cricket? Like, is there something you're doing with your mindset, or is there other things that you're doing to learn and progress your game that you can do maybe in the off season even?
I recently saw we got a psychologist at Queensland, and he made an interesting point. He reckons people see him when they're down in the dumps, which is fair enough. But he wanted me to see him when I'm going well. So I went and saw him probably at the height of my career. Just got picked for Australia A, and I went and saw him, and it was quite interesting seeing him when everything's kind of going well for me, because cricket, is there's gonna be ebbs and flows, and we work through a few things on why I'm going well. So hopefully not, but if I'm not going too well, we can go back to those things.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I listened to a podcast during the week with Gilbert Anoka on the High Performance podcast. Definitely check it out. It goes for about half an hour. He was the All Blacks mental coach for many years, 23 years I think it was, during the losses in the World Cup finals to ultimately winning it a couple of times. And he was talking about his role being as a psychologist, that they had to take him as a physio early on because they didn't get the budget, and the powers to be said, we don't need a psychologist in the team. And then towards the end of his career, it's like, if you're seeing Gilbert, you're seeing Gilbert because there's a problem. That was the early stage. And then towards the end of the All Blacks, if you're not seeing Gilbert, you're not performing at your best. Yeah. And there was a big flip around what you just mentioned, around seeing a sports psychologist at your peak, or all the time, or checking, not just like when there's a problem.
Yeah. I'm actually seeing him tomorrow. So, that's another thing I find, like, me as an 18-year-old would have been like, no, I don't have to see him, nothing's going wrong, you know what I mean? But, I'm 24 and I've learned a lot, and that's only just going to help me.
Yeah, it's the tool and the toolkit which some of these athletes have used. There's tools around and available to use. Now, let's get on to a couple of questions that I always ask my guests. One is their schoolboard moment, which is a moment in their life which is very visual. And it's unique to this podcast because it's called Scoreboard. But from that moment, life changed. I'm interested to know, Lachie, what your scoreboard moment is.
My scoreboard moment would be, I reckon, meeting my current partner. When I met her, I had no job, no contract. I was just playing club cricket, and we've been a team ever since. And from that day, I've only gone upwards in terms of my cricket, and I thank her a lot. She puts me on the right track. She keeps me from making bad decisions. So yeah, that's probably my scoreboard moment, and I'm pretty grateful to have her in my life.
I've got 2 things on the back of that. One, don't say current partner, just say partner, right? And secondly, her name.
Liv.
There you go. Big shout out to Liv.
She'll be off me for saying that.
No, that's all right. Mate, I'm 44. I've got a few grey hairs in that department. Been married for nearly 15. I can't remember now. I'm getting in trouble now. I can't remember how long I'm married.
She's the best, and ever since I met her, my cricket's gone uphill, and she says it's all me, but she plays a part.
Good on you, Liv. Well done. Big shout out to you on the podcast. Mate, does she get up you for shadow batting?
Nah, I'm not. I don't really do that much. Oh, actually sometimes, but not as much as the other boys.
Do you shadow bowl?
Nah.
Do you reckon Marnus shadow bowls?
Yeah, he would.
Just not the shadow bat, but just like every now and then you're like, right, I'm gonna, because we're having a chat before.
He's a bowler now.
I was going to say before the podcast, you're chatting about how he's a bit deceiving.
He's actually got good skills. Some of the boys would hate me saying that, but facing him in the nets, I really don't want to get out to him. But he's good, mate. Like everyone reckons he only bowls because he's captain, but he's taken some handy wickets for us.
So this is we're in November. The Ashes start on Friday. A little bold prediction for the Ashes that Marnus is up there with the leading wicket takers.
My prediction: he'll get a wicket. He'll get a wicket in the Ashes,
and he'll get a million views on Instagram because of his celebration. You reckon, or something?
There'll be an article about it, but I reckon he'll get a big wicket. I reckon he'll get Harry Brook or Joe Root. That's my.
There you go. My
prediction.
We heard it first. Yeah. Now, we also have a sponsor. Well, we've got a couple of sponsors, but our main sponsor of Scoreboard is SwiftX, which is Australia's most trusted cryptocurrency exchange with over 1.2 million active users in Australia and New Zealand. And they've launched a little campaign called Where Can Crypto Take You? And as part of that sponsorship, we run a little segment called the Bucket List. Where could crypto take you in terms of a sporting event, Lachie, that you haven't attended thus far live? I'm curious to know. And a drum roll, please. But the last 4 episodes have been the Super Bowl, so I'm curious: is it going to be the 5th Super Bowl in a row?
Not the Super Bowl for me. It'd be the Masters.
Ah, yes. Particularly after this year.
Yeah. I only started getting into golf. Probably 5 years ago, with my schoolmates. But going with them, that'd be awesome. So the Masters.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question about that. Are you going to? I don't know how they do it, but would you track a person, or would you just sit at a hole, or would you just wander?
No, I reckon we'd track an Aussie, Adam Scott, Cam Smith, follow them around.
Just follow them around, yeah. Mate, Augusta. Maybe crypto could take you there. There you go. And Lachie, we also have another sponsor in PocketSmith. PocketSmith is the personal finance app for the household CFO, the one keeping the budget in check, paying the bills, and kicking goals. Over 80,000 Aussies use PocketSmith to track their spending, see their net worth, and plan ahead. Lachie Hearne, with all the sport and business and money, etc. Do you budget? Are you the household CFO?
I do now. Another one because of Liv. She keeps me in line with my money. If you asked me that, a few years ago, definitely not. But I'm a bit better now, and I want to buy a house soon, so. That's
Well, you can get an entry-level house in Brisbane for about $8 million, so
yeah, well, it's better than Sydney.
10 million or 12 million. Yeah. Entry-level or one better little do-upper. It's crazy out there at the moment. But what do you reckon you spend too much money on? Coffee, subscriptions?
100%.
Uber Eats?
Cafe at Fonzie Abbott. And
mate, good shout-out to the team there at Fonzie Abbott. Love their coffee and love their beer too, by the way.
So, yeah.
Good catering company too, by the way. If you want to cater a party, check out Fonzie Abbott as well. Yep.
Yeah, definitely coffee. I'm 1 or 2 a day at least, buying them, which is no good.
Well, we're in the middle of one now. What number is this? Is this number 2?
This is number 2 for the day.
And is that it, or do you sometimes nudge a third?
Probably just that's it for today. Maybe a third.
Do you think about your sleep and stuff now? Like you go, right, I'm pretty regimented.
No, I sleep. I'm so lucky. I sleep so good. Like every night, I'd get 8 hours at least. So I'm pretty lucky in that department.
Is that why they call you chills? You just relax, everything's just relaxed.
I've always been like that. I've always slept so good. So hopefully that doesn't change.
Now, a little crossover into another podcast of a guest that I interviewed recently, a guy called Adam Crossway. Crossy. Met up with him in Melbourne last fortnight or so. And he, in part of my research, he popped up as one of the hardest cricketers that you've played against at a club cricket. Shout out to Crossy. G'day, Crossy, mate. But your early memories of Crossy being a senior towards he hasn't retired. He'll never retire, but playing grade cricket with Crossy, mate.
I remember. This is funny, actually. He's probably he was probably the first bloke who really got stuck into me at grade cricket level. I remember we versed him. He was playing for North Sydney at the time, and I was 17, like a little cheeky 17-year-old, and he was walking out to bat, and he said to me, "Are you gonna be the one who sprays me today?" And a few swear words in there too, and I was rattled. I was like, "What have I ever done to you?" Like. And a few of the other boys on my team were laughing because they could tell I was so rattled, and I kind of just laughed and was like, "Nah, why would I spray you? Like, you're gonna have to get someone else to get you into the contest." Because I think that's what he was looking for, someone to get into him so he could really get into the contest. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I remember, being a youngster there, and I did not know what to say.
There you go. He got you good. Well, you got him back as well, but he's still getting some runs, I think, in cricket and doing some great work with the ABC commentary team. Now, 2 more questions. One is your all-time favourite sporting moment, and I preface this that it doesn't include yourself. It's something you can probably watch on YouTube 1,000 times.
Yeah, I reckon it would have been James Faulkner, the finisher.
At the Gabba, yeah.
At the Gabba.
That's the first one I've come across with James Faulkner at the Gabba, but I remember that.
I remember
Australia Day.
Yeah, I remember watching it with my dad and my brother at home, and, we were just like, no chance. And then he just went berserk and won us the game. And I remember that vividly. I would have been, when was that? I would have been, 12, I reckon. And
it would have been you're 24, 12 years ago. What's that? 2013, I reckon.
Yeah, similar around then, and that
January. I think the Australian Open final was on the same day, so people were flicking over, but then it ended up being in the cricket.
Yeah, I remember that. That was.
What's James Faulkner up to? Maybe he should come on the pod and talk about it. I reckon because it'd be a good story.
Oh, mate, that was a ridiculous game of cricket, and that's my moment for sure.
There you go. And Lachie, growing up as a junior cricketer, getting selected in teams, and you're 16, you're getting thrown into first grade, etc. The dream was there to be, I assume, to become a professional athlete. Maybe not, but someone that is 15 or 16 now that is enjoying their cricket. What's some advice that you can give to them?
I just reckon it's a cliche one, but have fun. Like when, especially at that age, I feel like if you're not having fun, as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, then you probably shouldn't be playing the game. Go give another sport a crack. And then, if you're lucky enough to, get picked in some rep teams, you also have to enjoy that too. Because we play the game because we love it. Even at the very top, everyone loves it still. Well, that I know of. But that's probably my bit of advice, and just keep on loving training, keep on working hard.
That loving training bit's really important, that you've changed the mindset as well around now, not this sort of like now it's like an uplift. Lachie Hearne, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on your year thus far with your first milestone as a Shield century, and you've also got 100 in the List A form. Much more, many more. Stumbled my words there. Many more milestones to come. I wish you all the best. Looking forward to supporting you where I can. Good luck with the rest of the summer of cricket, the big summer of cricket coming up.
Massive.
I appreciate you having a chat on Scoreboard.
Cheers, thank you.